my life just went like, I'm gay, it is what it is. If you don't like it, oh well. And I called my mom and she said, I knew you were in trouble. I actually told my brother, that's who raped me. Oh, Jesus. My name is Stephen Smith, and my story pretty much is about telling about the realities of how your life can spiral out of control. You can lose control, but knowing that God is love, He's a redemptor. He can use your story for His glory. So my story is about redemption, love, and the honesty of really saying, listen, this is what you really need to know about what you need to know about your children and how you need to protect and watch it over yourself. And also how to mentally to get into a space that no matter what you've gone through, to know that it has a greater purpose even when we don't understand until you find out what the real meaning is. Growing up in my household, I always say I was living with an angel and I was living with a demon. I was living with God and I was living with the devil. God and the angel was my mom, the devil was my father, and I loved him very much. I just want to put that out there. It was so much violence going on in the home. I'm talking about my father would be in drunken rages. He would be so angry. He was dealing with a lot of past issues and the past hurts that we didn't know about, but he took it out on his children. He took it out on my mother, his wife. Can you imagine? My father's 6'4", my mother's 5'5", and he's taking her like a rag doll and shaking and beating her all over the house. And the only two people that were left in the house was myself and my oldest brother. My older sisters were gone, so we're little kids trying to jump in, intervene, trying to stop him from hitting her, holding her around her head because he was going towards her head and kicking her in her body. So my brother's down here, I'm up here, so we're taking all the beatings and the fightings, and for some reason he would stop, but I had to realize he would snatch her, take her in the room, and he would fight my mom. He would beat my mom, and the screaming and the crying was just to the point that we were losing it. And I just thank God I'm not in a mental hospital. I'm not on medication. It could have gone that way, but it was just that bad. And then to have to walk like on eggshells after he's sober, because it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He was drunk, out spending money, people taking advantage of him. But when Monday hit, it was like walking on glass and eggshells. You have to be careful not to say the wrong words. He's mad now because he's spent all his money, or the women took his money because we weren't getting the money. My mother was struggling. But it got to the point that we had to do something, because on the outside it appeared that we had this family. Father has a great job, several vehicles in the yard. You guys look great. Your mother's going to church, praising God. But at the end of the day, we knew that we were going into the house of horrors. And that's how bad it was. And this was every week. It wasn't just once a week. It was every week. We didn't know what he was going to do. We didn't know which angle he was coming from. So we had to be prepared. And me and my brother would always look around and see what we could pick up or what we can do to stop him, or constantly standing by our mother because she could be at the sink and he would out of nowhere and hit her and beat her down. And on top of the beatings, my mother would cook for him. She would go above and beyond, but my father would defecate on himself. He would throw up everywhere. And guess who had to clean all of that up? Me and my brothers did. My mother, we just loved her. We did everything we could to try to give her peace. She found peace in reading the Bible, talking to God, listening to her gospel music, going to church. That was her escape. So my father was abusive to my mother around the ages of 6 or 7 to 13 years old. Before I physically saw it with other women, they would call our house. And they would call, I don't really curse anymore, but they would call and say, B, you better get your MFing husband. I don't want him anymore. He don't have any God money. Come and get him, and hang up the phone. Or They would call again and just call my mother the B word and just be very explicative and very disrespectful. And my mother's going back and forth with them because it's frustrating. We're already dealing with this. It got to the point that when we were like just in the grocery store or just going on an outing somewhere, like she would encounter these women and they would just disrespect my mother and curse her out and call her all types of names. So I would pick up something and just throw it at them, or my brother would go at him as well. My mother pulls out a gun. We didn't even know she had a gun. And she said, move, and pointed it on the passenger side and cocked the gun and told her, if you ever bother me again, I'm going to promise you that I'm going to blow your brains out. The lady was terrified. She pulled off, and we're looking at our mom like, where did you get that from? We've never seen you with a gun. She was over it. She was done. I had a lot of fear towards men from that point. Like, I gravitated towards women. I became closer, and I'm still close to women more than men today because of what he planted inside of me. We would get beatings for nothing. Like, you got to realize, when he hit her, we were the defense on her. Like, he tried to burn my mom with irons, we would take it. He would swing on her, we would take it because we were her arms, legs, and body. So he would beat us for getting in the way of beating on her. I mean, it was vicious. He was fighting like he was in a ring with Mike Tyson or somebody. That's how angry he was. He would just call her like, you're nothing, you're nobody. He would call her. He would say that, you're a waste of time, you're a waste of space, you mean nothing to me. They treat her like trash. And I have my oldest sister, it's four of us. My oldest and my second oldest sister were in the house, but my oldest sister, who is not his daughter, would stand up to him. When he would say stuff like that to my mom or to her, or he would call her black, or he would just call her all of these things, and just made my mother just have low self-esteem to the point of not leaving. And then also on top of that type of abuse, it was financial abuse because he was the breadwinner. So the emotional abuse was very strong. I mean, as far as with me, he would call me, not knowing what happened to me sexually, being sexually molested and raped, that I could never talk to him about it because you would always call me names. So who's going to turn to a father like that? Back in the 60s, 70s, I don't know if they still do this now, I was considered a latchkey kid. Basically, first one home, lock the door, don't do anything, eat your lunch, do your homework, and I'm going to have a family member or a neighbor to come watch you. My abuser would come home around the same time that I was home. He would come and check on me, make sure everything's good, you're doing your homework, things that you normally should be doing when you're in the house by yourself. I was drawn to his masculinity as far as the fatherly things that he would do for me. When you think of a father, what do you think of? He's teaching you how to be a man, how to dress, how to take care of your body. It got to the point that one day we were just in the house. I'm sitting there, we're watching television, and the next thing I know, he puts his hand on my leg. And I was looking at him like, what are you doing? Because I jumped. Because to break it down, I never was hugged by my father. I never was told I love you by my father. So for someone to touch me of the same sex, and then he starts speaking to me, this is where the spiritual manipulation comes in at, because as he's drawing close to me, I'm moving over because I'm like, what are you doing? So it gets to the point of, this is good for you. This is what you need. This is what you're missing. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm a child. I don't know. And he says, well, if you don't allow me to do these things to you, then I can't come over. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't be a part of your life anymore. And I'm like, I'm like, I don't understand. And he was basically saying, I want to make love to you. And I'm like, make love to me? I'm a child. Like, men don't do this. But he manipulated me here, saying, I'm going to take away all of these benefits of fatherhood if you don't give me this. And it got so bad that he had a girlfriend or a wife at that point. And she knew what was going on. We would argue like two women with the same boyfriend. Even though he was my abuser, I looked up to him like a father because he treated me like a son. He treated me like I was his own seed. He treated me like he had me, and he wanted to show me the ropes of life and show me things from, like I said, working out, reading, spelling, helping me with my homework. So I looked up to him as a father figure before he decided to rape me, to take advantage of me. And like I said, it was mental, spiritual manipulation before he took advantage of my body. This actually went on for like about 3 years, 3 or 4 years. And my family never knew. And then there was this family that moved in from the Bahamas. And I ended up dating one of the sons over there. It's like I went right into another relationship. He knew what I was. I knew what he was. Well, at first I really didn't know. He was almost like the same as him. Like, he threw me off because he just looked so masculine. He carried himself in that manner, had a lot of girlfriends, but, I found out later that didn't matter. But it went right into that. We started dating. I was very crushed because the father figure was gone. I had nobody there. So I had to look back to my father, hoping that was going to happen. But I was like, you know what? At this point, I like men. This is what's taking place. So I'm going to find me somebody else. I always wanted to find somebody just like him, put his face on their face, and hoping to find it. And I realized that other guys were also looking for something too, based on how they were traumatized, raped, and molested, because we become a product of our environment and we repeat the very things that we see. So my life just went like, shh, I'm gay, it is what it is. If you don't like it, oh well. I'm like, I can fight. Everybody knew what was going on. I did not hide my sexuality in middle school, high school, college. I was out. When I went to gay bars, I went to clubs. I've been in the house scene as the father of the house in Milan. All of that. My life just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and getting involved in all type of white collar crime. I remember when I came out, like most people in the lifestyle. When I came out and say I'm gay, everybody knew, you didn't have a girlfriend, you have feminine ways, you're hanging out with the other gay guy in school, which we were the flyest. I just want to say that. But when people would disrespect me and call me out of my name because of the violence and rage that I had acquired at home, I would get in your face and say, well, okay, I'm gay, and what you gonna do about it? I'm gay and what? I don't like you. You want to try me or try you? And I found out some of them wanted to be with me anyways. But yes, I did get into a lot of fights, but I also garnered a lot of respect, because one thing I learned about in my era, if you were gay and you fought and you won, oh, total respect from everybody. So I'm preparing to remove my books and put it on my lap or on the floor. He comes to my seat and says, move these goddamn books, you and push my books. I lost it. I went black. I fought him for almost over 3 miles. I did not even know what was going on. I was blacked out. And then when it got to the point that when I really came to myself, there was blood all over me. There was blood all over the bus. But it was his blood. I beat him to that point that the rage took over, that it got to the place that we got off the bus and he tried to hit me with this huge rock. And one of my friends called my name, and I turned around and I caught the rock and I hit him right in the forehead with it, and he passed out. So what was good for me to be healed was my mother, who was praying for me going to church, me reading the Bible, and then realizing that I am not that person. I am really not that angry person. You had to push certain buttons to get me to that place of going black, because I didn't want to be like my dad. And my mother was the calm, serene one. So I attributed a lot of her ways in me. So I had to learn to control that anger and just humble myself. And I asked God to help me. And I had to go through some testing and processing. I didn't go to any therapy. I didn't go to, like some people do, and there's nothing wrong with therapy. I encourage it. We were in a grocery store, and I had to go. She told me to go get something. My mother was old. She was old at that point. And she told me to go get something. And I come back because she's moving as fast as she could to load the stuff on, because she's not here anymore. So when I came back, there was this man cursing her out. "You're moving too slow, lady. You need to hurry up. The cashier's waiting on you." And there were some heavy items. And I walked up and I stood behind him. And I said, "Who the hell do you think you're talking to?" I said, back then I cursed a lot. I said, "That's my MFing mother." I said, "As a matter of fact, she's going to take her time. You go as slow as you want. Try me and try her. As a matter of fact, you ain't buying nothing out this store." And I snatched this item out and threw it on the ground. Now go to another grocery store. That's the type of rage I had. Because I'm like, she's already dealt with this type of verbal abuse. And you are a complete stranger. You're nothing to me. There's been so many situations where I would defend women simply because it made me go back to my mom. And you guys they're considered the weaker vessel, which I know there's some strong women, but you're not going to do that. You're a man. Why are you talking to them like that? And I garnered a lot of respect in my town, in my community, because they knew, yeah, he might be gay, but he ain't soft. When my mother passed in 2004, it was very traumatic for me because I had dreams 6 months before she died that she was going to pass away. And when she died, because I knew she had a lot of unfinished business, but throughout all the trauma, the triggers have caused her to have illnesses in her body, because it can happen. Through all the stress and worrying and stuff like that, those triggers caused her to pass away from strokes, heart attack, and she had an aneurysm when she was in the hospital. So when she died, I just went into a deep place of sadness and depression and asking God why, and I'm praying that you can bring her out, and none of that happened. And then one day I just prayed to relieve myself because I felt she was with me. I knew she was with me. And then when it got to the point it was a week she was in the hospital, I just prayed and I said, "God, you got me. Take her." And she died the next day. That brought me peace to know she no longer has to go through any struggles with my father. Because I later found out when I wrote my books that he was still messing around with these I'm trying to be nice. But he was still messing around with these. And when he passed away years before, I'm going to say 2015. See, I listened to God. God sends people to talk to me. And he told me I had to forgive him. Because I had unforgiveness and hate and rage. I would not call him. I wouldn't text him. He would call me. He would tell other family members, "Oh, I'm looking for Stephen. Where is he at?" And at that time, he was going through dementia. He had different cancer issues with his body. And he's dated this woman that he married after my mom died that was taking him for a ride. It was like she became him, his new wife. Everything he did to my mom, it's like they say you reap what you sow, karma. It came back on him. But before he died, I did forgive him sincerely because I cried when I called him. I had to call him. And I forgave him, and it brought our relationship back. It bonded our relationship. I prayed for him to God to save him, which I know he did. But I loved him in the end. The first time I saw him after all of these years was near a local store near me. He was sitting outside, and I actually told my brother, "That's who raped me." This is how I told my father. I gave him a book. I've written 3 books about my life. I gave him a book and said, "Read this." His wife read it and called me, and I really wasn't communicating with her. She said, "Your story has blown me away. I did not know you went through all of that, and you did not know that what the stuff that your father was taking your mother through." Well, you were a part of it too, ma'am, but nevertheless, she told him that's what happened. But when I told my brother, he said, "You better be glad you didn't tell me this a long time ago," because my brother got right with God too. He said, "If you would have told me that back then, because we're so close," he said, "I would have blew his brains out." And my brother meant every word. So I've seen him here and there periodically. And you want to laugh? The funny thing is he lives right around the corner from me right now. So I see him from time to time, and he's very, 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 very ill. I don't know what's going on with him. I've been told different things, but I don't talk about stuff like that. But he's very ill. But I do sit and I speak. And I keep going because I've forgiven him. And I'm over what happened because, you're being dealt with the way you're supposed to be dealt with what you've done. So my books are called, there's 3 of them. It's a trilogy. The Lifestyle of a Gay Hustler in a Straight World, Volume 1, The Beginning. The Lifestyle of a Gay Hustler in a Straight World, Volume 2, The Intentional Evolution, and Homosexuality to Holiness. It's God's Turn. These are trilogies of my life before I was born, with my parents, and all the circumstances, situations, and scenarios I've gone through in my life to let people see that God is a God of love. He's a redeemer. And for all of my brothers and sisters that's in the LGBTQ community, anybody tells you that God don't love you is a liar. He just wants you to be the person he's called you to be, not what you think you should be because of your abuse, your trauma, your issues, your pain. And I've sat with the best with them. I've sat with drag queens and trans. I've sat with lesbians. I've sat with those living in the dark world, those that are doing all type of stuff in the leather world. All of that. God has kept me from being killed in clubs, situations. God brought me out of the lifestyle. You understand me? I didn't bring myself out. I didn't want to leave. I was enjoying myself. Or so I thought. That's the way the devil had me. But God brought me out of it. And my books is to show you that there is a better life. And you can use your story for greater good. Get healed through your therapy. Get healed through prayer. Get healed through joining groups and organizations. This is going to help you. And one of the key factors is you have to forgive them. I know it doesn't happen overnight. I'm telling you from my own experiences, when you forgive those persons that have done that to you, because some of you cannot move on with your life because you get triggered. You go back. It snatches you back. And you're starting all over again. How can I turn my story into glory, my pain into gain, my shame into success? It will help you. I'm telling you, I did it. It'll work for you. Please do those things. My adulthood. It has been a roller coaster, but I had to say, you know what? I look back and go, I actually enjoyed a lot of it. A lot of it I didn't enjoy. So when I officially moved to Atlanta, I realized as an adult, I had to put my best foot forward. I had to realize and I had to take a hold of life, because if not, life was going to take a hold of me. Though I was still making a lot of mistakes. I was getting caught up in bad relationships, wrong relationships, putting myself in precarious situations. At that time, I learned how to hustle when I was a child. When I say hustling, white collar. I tried to sell drugs. I was terrified one time and I said, I'm never doing it again. And my white collar crime got out of control, so I started connecting, gelling, and meshing with people, heterosexuals and homosexuals that was doing that lifestyle. I went from boosting to 4-line bags, credit cards, checks, traveler's checks, bank withdrawals, bank drafts, fake credit cards. I was doing all of that. So that was my streams of income. One thing I can say at home, God, that my Father prepared me. Watch everybody, no matter who they are, because they could be a snake, or they could be something beautiful in your life. I dealt with all types of people, especially heterosexuals. And let me break it down. While I dealt with mostly heterosexuals when it came to hustling. So it got to the point that I was making 6 figures. I was traveling all over the country, making this money. So that's where you get the lifestyle of a gay hustler in a straight world, because I will always bring my products to straight people. So one time I had a so-called friend that introduced me to these 2 guys, and I wasn't interested in them. I was interested in what was in their pockets, which is the money. They wanted to buy some jewelry from me. And my mind, I never let you come to my house if I didn't know you for years and years and years. I don't know why I put my guards down. And they came and they saw all that I had. And at that point, I think it was like $20,000 they would have to pay me. They brought like $9,000. So it comes to the point of they're saying, well, we have to kill you because you guys saw us. And it's clear as day. They put us on the ground, pulled some sheets, was going to do us mafia style. Well, that was it. We were gone. And the next thing I know, I'm like, Jesus, I know it's not my time. I know you're not going to let these people kill me. That's all I said. And I heard a voice say, I am right here. When I said that, they pulled the guns. I wish my roommate was on this call. And they cocked the gun back and said, well, we're going to kill you first because you saw us you saw us very clear. The gun would not go off. The man said, we just got these guns. What's going on? I don't know what happened. What happened? And he's like, give me the other gun. So he takes the other gun and he cocks it and puts it at my roommate's head. And I hear my roommate scream because it sounded like it went off, but it didn't. And the next thing I know, silence. Nobody was talking. And then I heard the voice of God say, they're gone, get up. And I called my mom and she said, I knew you were in trouble. He told me you were in trouble and he didn't tell me what. My mom says, you have to get your life together. I'm not going to be here forever. I said, oh, Jesus. Just want to show to people that God is always with us, just calling his name. But he was there for me. Like I just kept going till it got to the point that before my mom died, I talked to God and I made some deals and promises with him to help whoever he sends my way because I was making so much money. And when she died, he was like, it's time to let it go. And I had to let it go. But I only really dealt with heterosexuals when it came to, because I sold high-end things. And I didn't have time to go through all this drama with my people at that time because I've left the lifestyle. But I still love them. Of course, they know that. So my life is now, I'm engaged to be married. And I'm just thankful that I didn't just stay where I thought I should have been. And I really had no choice because he told me it was no longer my will. It was no longer what I wanted to do was for him. Let me use you. And my final thoughts is just build a relationship with God. Trust Jesus Christ. Let God's Spirit help you and take you where you need to be. My final thoughts on is live out your purpose and God's dreams and will for your life. And just, you guys just enjoy life. It's so short now. People are leaving here. Just enjoy life and love and forgive.